T minus 1 minute. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Fuck you, Westport!
What is up, everybody? Thank you for joining us on this Saturday afternoon show. Very stoked, very freaking happy. Big smile on my face today to welcome BabyDad Grows.
Thank
How
you
you
so
doing,
much,
sir?
Mr. Westport. I'm doing amazing. I'm here with you. I'm here with the community. So you know what? I'm doing amazing. Thank you so much for having me. And I can tell you right now, on behalf of all veterans out there, we appreciate everything that you really do, and all those other breeders and people in the community that help us out. We want to say thank you from me coming out from all the other veterans as well.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Mhm,
you. Thank
mhm.
your friends. Thank
Yeah.
everybody out there who has served and supported us a lot. I'm very happy to talk a little bit about, well, a lot about that today because, you know, I have some questions and you by far are not the only person who is trying to navigate, you know, life as a
Mhm,
veteran,
mhm,
life with
mhm,
cannabis, life within
mhm.
that system and that frame. So I hope and I think, and I'm pretty sure I know there's other people out there today that can draw some, you know, strength from what we discuss, from your
Yes, sir.
example. And if not, you know, just camaraderie, man, because that
Exactly.
is really what it's about. It's you know, again, I do come from a military family. I have not served myself, but one thing that I always, you know, in the gym, you know, MMA, I liked training that. And
Mhm,
there's one
mhm.
thing there, you know, as far as like camaraderie, it's like we both may be hurting, but if the person next to me is not quitting, I damn sure is not going to quit either. And so we could pull
Absolutely.
strength from each other. Even when we
Yes,
want to
sir.
give up, we keep each other going. So
Absolutely, absolutely. I do believe in that. Thank you for bringing that up too.
yeah, my pleasure. Now,
Mhm.
I mean that's kind of a cool like segue, and for I want to get up here too. You know, Mr. Toad says big respects to Baby Daddy Grows, and you know big respects to Mr. Toad. I actually want to
Absolutely.
reach out to him soon,
Yeah.
and you know I can't quite place it, but I know it was, you know, possibly through Mr. Toad, or I definitely know it
Mhm.
was through the Future Cannabis Project where we
Yes.
happened to meet. Like that is
Mhm.
such a gift of this community. We
Absolutely.
are states away. We never would have met. And here we are years later. The hearing from you again just put the biggest smile on my face. So I want to ask, like, how did you? Oh my gosh, my wife, she's calling right now. Oh, it's my mom. My mom's calling. My goodness, I'm just blowing up today.
Wow.
So, oh, sorry, guys. I wanted to ask, how did you come to find the Future Cannabis Project? How did you find
Man.
like this cannabis community? Because you left a lasting impression on a lot of us, man.
Okay, thank you so much for asking that question, man. So I I, I was first of all, I had just literally I was on the verge of kind of retiring from the military. And so how I found you guys, I had fallen to into a little bit of depression. Believe it or not, I was growing my own garden. Things wasn't going as well as they should have. The guy that actually taught me how to grow, the whole my whole grow, he basically I end up not hearing from him for a couple days. We go in his house and I find him passed away, and he was the guy that actually taught me how to grow. And so that threw me into a little bit of depression. I didn't know what I was doing with the plants. I was trying to reach out to all these different communities, all these different people. And luckily, by the grace of God, I did find Mr. Toad. And when I found Mr. Toad, I basically told him, hey, look, this is what I'm going through. I have PTSD. I have a number of different disabilities that I think cannabis will help me out. I had already had 3 to 4 back surgeries. So I didn't want to have a life of opioids for the rest of my life. I retired at the age of 38 out of the U.S. Navy, 21 years, 6 months, and 13 days, matter of fact. And so I knew that opioids for me wasn't going to be the thing that I wanted to be stuck on for the rest of my life. And so I figured if I can grow my own medicinal cannabis, I think I can be fine. I think I'll do fine. I think I'll do well because what I do when I first found out about cannabis as I went on this long tangent of reading every single thing that I possibly could, Elaine Blackwell, different soil recipes. I went on this tangent just trying to find out the best way possible that I could absolutely grow my best cannabis that I possibly can. And so when I found Mr. Toad, I also found Chris Guerrero on the Guerrero Grow shows. I was on there as well. And so I was on that show and they basically gave me a good foundation. But what helped me the most was realizing that there's a different world besides the military. And I can tell you from experience, that world or this world has thrown me into what I'm doing my purpose. I'm serving in my purpose right now. I think cannabis is one of those plants that not only has it helped me, but it's helped other veterans as well. Um, and they just have to give it a chance, they just have to give it a chance, Mr. Westport. And so, and I understand that cannabis might not be for every single person, but
True.
at least try to reach out. Everybody has the endocannabinoid system, and every
Yes.
single strain, it affects me different. It affects you different. My type of growing may not be your type of growing, but I tell people all the time, the best thing to do is grow. To be able to grow mentally, physically, emotionally, and I've been able to do that with these plants.
Absolutely. And 21 years, by the way, that is very impressive, sir. So
Thank
wow,
you,
even
thank you,
even more impressive.
thank you.
It's it's hard to hear about your mentor and about your
Hmm.
friend, because I know
Hmm.
in the
Hmm.
past we both kind of raised awareness through the 22 too many.
Yeah.
And I recently look at this number, and for anybody who's listening and not familiar with 22 too many, that is a veteran organization which highlights that 22 veterans and soldiers per day take their own life.
Hmm. Hmm.
22.
Absolutely.
22. That is ridiculous. And again, I looked, the last time we have statistics was from 2023. We're at
Hmm.
17. But
Yeah.
that small difference isn't anything to celebrate, because we need to get that down low or
Absolutely. One is too
eliminated.
many. One is too many and
Absolutely.
should be eliminated at all costs.
Absolutely. And yeah, how did you, because like for mental health, cannabis has helped me tremendously for mental health,
Hmm.
and it can help
Hmm.
many
Hmm. Hmm.
people in different ways. Sometimes it is a depression, sometimes it is a bit of a numbing agent, other
Hmm.
times, like anxiety, like it really helps me with social anxiety, and kind of
Hmm.
get over some of those things. But
Absolutely.
PTSD is a whole other thing, and even though it's for 4 letters, one big word, it can mean so
Hmm.
many different things.
It does. It
That
does.
one comes close to home as well.
Hmm.
How, I mean, did you, were you aware of cannabis, or had you tried cannabis prior to exiting your service?
Great question. You know what? Before my military service, I'm actually from the country. I'm from South Carolina originally. I grew up in and around gardens with my mom, with my aunts, with my whole family. We used to have a huge family garden to where we grew, different vegetables, all of these different vegetables. Basically, back then to feed the family. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That was my main introduction to growing, and so. Didn't really didn't really have a whole lot of time to definitely experiment and know about cannabis. In high school, I was a athlete, star athlete. I didn't want to mess anything up. I never smoked a
Yeah.
cigarette. I never had a drink of alcohol. Um, I was basically just straightforward. I wanted to do the best that I can at life at that time,
Mhm.
and so I really didn't experiment with cannabis until I actually had retired out of the military. Um, and what brought me to it, the very first thing that happened, um, went to a dispensary. First thing, soon as I go to the dispensary, they're like, "Okay, what do you want?" But I'm flabbergasted, dude. I'm just like, oh, I don't understand. For me, it was just one of those things that I just didn't understand, and so I ended up spending
Mhm.
about $600, and just I said, I just want anything that's gonna make me high. That was it. This
Right.
was for
Well,
anything that's gonna make me high. That's what I wanted. I ended up spending a lot of money, and so that experience, I was just like, it just blew me away, and I said, well, if I'm experiencing the same thing when these other veterans go to these dispensaries, they're going to experience the same thing as well. And so for me, it was that gave me more of an ambition, more of a want to grow, more of a want
mhm.
to learn as much as I possibly could by watching you guys and watching these other people. And I tell people when it comes to cannabis, I've basically taken what I've learned from every single person that I've met within the community. And so
Smart.
whether the good and the bad, that's good and bad. A lot of times, and I'm still learning a lot of stuff, and a lot of things that I learn is basically through the plant, believe it or not.
Yeah,
Whether that's
dude.
showing me a deficiency in my plants, whether I'm watering too much, whether I'm watering too little, it gives me, and then that also gives me a chance to basically tap back into my roots within the military, because I used to be in charge of 15, 20, 30, 40 different people, over 100 different people. And so these plants give me an opportunity to kind of help me regulate and check my mental health when it comes down to it.
There's so many ways the garden helps me mentally, and we can talk about that. But that is similar to like my mission. Like
Mhm.
I've been using this plant since I was a young teen.
Mm,
I kind of did it then because I was told not to.
okay.
But later, later in life, and even into my teens, I kind of, I knew that it was doing something like more for me. I knew it was
Mm,
like kind of medicinal, but it wasn't until the conversation around medical cannabis started,
right.
in the 90s, that I
Mhm, mhm.
really kind of understood how this plant could be benefiting me. And once I figured that out, and once I had my own proof, it's like you have to live it to be convinced almost sometimes. And once
Absolutely.
I knew how it affected my life, boom, I'm like,
Mm,
this, I can help other people. I can seriously make a difference in another person's life, just by spreading the word and spreading this plant. And so that, like
absolutely.
you, sir, has always been a mission for me, and it's of
Mm,
utmost importance. That's what drives all of it, really, is
mhm,
the benefits that it gave me, I know others can get. But I
mm.
imagine it must have been kind of like scary, going into it. I don't know, because again, I started really young. Like dude, I
Right,
did all my wildness early on, and I am a mellow person comparatively.
right.
But I don't think, well, okay, there probably is something you could throw at me now where I'm just like, I don't really know about that. My body's never been through this. I don't really know if I
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
control. So how did
Yeah.
you kind of overcome that? Did you just, I mean, you spent $600 searching for everything. Did you just jump in or?
I think what well just starting out, first of all, and you're definitely right, I was definitely scared. The guy that I learned how to go through, when I asked him to show me, he basically just threw down whatever he had in his hands and looked at me. And he basically told me, he gave me a stern talking to, like, why would I show you how to grow this plant? Why would I do that? And you're not paying me. And I was just like, holy shit. And he basically told me, he said, people that want me to show them how to grow, they have to they normally have to pay me. The only way that I'm gonna help you how to do this, is you're gonna do everything. You're basically gonna learn every single thing that you possibly can, and you're gonna do everything from the watering to the transplant to the feeding to the fimming to the topping to low stress training, high stress training. You're gonna do all that, and I'm gonna show you how to do it. And so from that moment on, I was basically hooked. I was a student of the program. I was whatever he needed me to do.
Yeah,
That's what I basically did, and that's why that relationship between me and him was just so important, because he showed me basically the gift that just keeps on giving. And so that's what I tell people when it
truly.
comes to it. He showed me the gift that just keeps on giving. Luckily, I was able to produce at that time. That was my very first grow. I was still waiting on my DD 214 to come in through the mail. I was still waiting on it. And so with that grow, it literally showed me, hey, look, you can actually do this, and it can be beneficial not only to you and to the people that you talk to and to the people that's trying to do the same thing. It could be beneficial.
And you had some experience growing, again when you were
Hmm.
younger.
Hmm.
It is amazing how it kind of all relates, and hopefully you're like, oh yeah, I remember
Hmm.
that. But
Hmm.
you've chosen to kind of go more of the organic route, something
Absolutely.
that what made you go that? Because you could grow cannabis a number of different ways and they all work, but what made you
Right.
choose this route, and maybe how you got started on that one?
Well, if I looked at it in two different ways, Mr. Westport. I looked at it in one way. If I'm not going to be putting opioids in my body every single day, uh, if I can watch what I eat, if I can watch what I drink, I don't drink alcohol, I don't consume alcohol. The only thing that I have is cannabis plants, right? And so I looked at it in the other way of, I think organically for me would be the easiest, not only just the easiest way, but it's a way that I can not only just show other people that organic is the way to go, but it's about putting what you put into your body. Cancer now is at an all-time high. Autism is at all-time high. And I feel that those are just things that happen with our bodies, and I wanted to watch what I consumed. And so basically, when I start going organic, I looked at it as, is it really organic? So I'm gonna have to do some research on the product. I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
basically test it out. I'm gonna have to see it. I'm just gonna have to. With me, I'm one of those people. I have to see it work before I'm actually using it. That way, I can tell somebody else. And so going organically for me was basically I didn't always start out organic, but I can tell you I started out on bottle newts, Fox
Okay.
Farm, the whole
Most people
line.
do.
Yes, and that's how I started out. And so my mentor that taught me how to grow, he looked at me, he was like, for one, you're spending how much money did those Fox Farm nutrients cost? And he basically told me, hey, look, I'm going to show you how to do it organically. And I'm going to tell you, it may have not been the best way because possible to grow it. Because
Mhm.
what we basically did was put in a huge trash can, and we had basically steer manure, and we
Okay.
put water in it, and we let it steep for about 1 to 2 days. If you can imagine what that smelled like after 1 to 2 days.
I actually
And we
can.
and we actually used that during that very first grow, and that was the only thing that we used. There was no amendments, there was no we basically fed plants twice a week, and those plants got up a little bit over 12 and a half foot tall just in a backyard plot of about 10 by 10 plot. And so from that moment on, I was stuck. I was like, what other things can I possibly procure to get this amount of to get the same basically amount that I got on my very first grow. And I think for me, organic was the best way to grow. I'm not for everybody. Um, Organic may or may not be the best way to go. There probably still people on bottled nutrients, but for me, it was always a health concern growing organic.
Learning about organics, learning about the soil
Hmm.
microbiome,
Hmm.
treating the plants, when you have that epiphany that you're treating your plants better than your own body, you're kind of like, wait
Hmm.
a minute. But you're right,
Hmm.
it is all about the inputs, and cannabis has taught me so much, but
Hmm.
organic specifically has taught me a lot more about my body, how it works, how I want to treat it, because
Hmm.
I love my plants and I baby them. So,
Hmm.
why
Hmm.
not my body too?
Right.
Um, there's all kinds of, organic methods out there, and you could get into that. Um,
Right.
what was that first harvest like? What was that pride, man? Because I could feel it now. What was that pride of that first harvest and sparking that first bowl that you grew yourself? Because
It was
that's probably
absolutely,
pretty rewarding.
yes. Yes, it was absolutely amazing. Like I said, these plants got between 10 and 12 foot high. Blue Dream was one of the strains. I grew my very first grow. Blue Dream, Maui Wowie, AK-47.
Woo-hoo.
Those three, those older genetics, you know what I'm saying? And basically, I found those genetics through IOGM.
Okay.
Shout out to them. I found those
Yeah.
genetics through them, and so at that time I really didn't know what I had or how they would grow. And so you're right. The very whenever I was when I got that opportunity to actually look at the bud and just say like, damn, I for one, I grew this. Now let's really test it out and see how it is. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, it blew my mind. You know what I mean? I was basically I knew from that point on, I had to basically learn as much as I possibly could to grow the best possible medicinal cannabis that I possibly can.
And Andy's in here saying classics, and I agree. Those are absolutely classics, and they're not the
Right.
easiest to grow either.
No,
So kind
no.
of hats off there. You took a step above the intermediate level for your first
Hmm.
kind of genetics there.
It
Uh,
was, yes, it was.
Now I imagine, because Mr. Toad is just an unsung hero to a lot in the
Hmm.
community. Um,
Absolutely.
I've distributed a lot of genetics that he's just given me out of
Hmm.
his kind heart. Again,
Hmm.
pay it forward, give them out.
Hmm.
I have
Hmm.
definitely helped veterans with some of
Hmm.
his seeds. But I
Yeah.
imagine you've probably grown a few
Oh,
of Mr. Toad
absolutely.
stuff. So what have you grown from those genetics?
Oh man, so the very first time he sent me in the mail, I think he sent NorCal Space Goo, AFGoo, Bob's Cheddar. He
Nice.
sent me a number of genetics. He didn't have to send them to me. He basically said,
Yeah.
"Hey, look, give me your address. I'm gonna send out these seeds and just let me know how you do." And
Yep.
from that moment on, I had to start, and I was in a process of really getting my genetic, uh, just getting my education down with genetics. And so basically, I didn't want to go back to ILGM. I wanted to grow some definitely different genetics to see how it affected the plant. And believe
Mhm.
it or not, when he sent me those genetics or he sent me those beans, um, I really had to. I really want to show some justice to the type of work that he did. Because for me, I'm an able-bodied man. I try to tell myself I'm an able-bodied man with a little bit of disabilities. But here it is, this guy didn't know me from jump, uh, basically has helped other veterans and says, you know what, I'm gonna send you some genetics. I don't care what you do with them, give them out, grow them, whatever you want to do. For me, that was amazing.
Yeah.
He still supports our grows. He still sponsors our grows. We're looking at doing some. My eventual overall goal would be a seed breeder. That's exactly what I want to do.
Okay.
I do want to breed some seeds, and I want to memorialize those people that I've lost within the military. Um, memorize those people that I've lost in my family. And I want to come out with a great seed line like you've done yourself. Like you've done yourself. Congratulations on
Thank
that
you.
too, as well. But for me, and it's for me, it was all about the old genetics. I want to start with the old genetics. That way I know what the feel of them is. For me, I'm a definitely a taste guy, but I do want to know what the feeling of this strain does. You know what I'm saying? And for me, um, yeah, and for me, Mr. Toad did that for me. He said, "Hey, look, this one is the feeling that I have is this one. It's a great medicine. If you have headaches, backaches, anxiety, take this one and grow this one." And so that's how I got that's how we become so close over the years. And like I said, I got my start from Mr. Toad, and of course, not only just Mr. Toad, but the Chris Guerrero show. Um, and that's where I basically just people think that I was just on there being nosy or just trying, but what I was really doing was soaking up every single opportunity that I got to learn about the plant. That's exactly what I was
Oh yeah.
doing. Yeah,
You,
absolutely.
I remember you always asking good questions,
Hmm.
which,
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
another reason why I'm just, always like you. It's like I could tell, and obviously others could too, that you are on a mission, man. This isn't a flash in the pan. This isn't a grow your Instagram account type thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
This is a true belief, and making seeds. I hope you get there. That's again why
Absolutely.
I started doing this too. Like my
Absolutely.
mission is selfish. I want the best strain for my body, for my conditions. That's what I'm after.
Yeah.
But I know that when and if I find that, it's going to help thousands of other people too. So yeah, that's a great goal. Keep working to that. The best way
Absolutely.
to get there, try different things because you never
Hmm.
know which one's going to hit for you, and
Absolutely.
just
Absolutely.
keep working those. We were lucky to kind of meet through there. I
Hmm.
want to ask though, particularly, with your background,
Hmm.
are there, and I am aware of a few, just kind of through Instagram, but are there, like veteran cannabis related groups? Because, and I want to ask you about this here after this, but just like the
Hmm.
VA navigating the
Hmm.
system, can you say cannabis? How have things maybe changed over time?
Hmm.
Maybe where
Hmm.
they're going, but
Yeah.
just initially, um, are there groups for people that can, who don't want to necessarily, or I guess the best way to put it is who wants to stay in the group, because sometimes people aren't comfortable sharing with the world or sharing with, outsiders or civilians, some of the things that they do. So are there good places for
I think
veterans to
so.
go?
I think so, Mr. Westport. I think there are good places that a lot of veterans can go when it comes to cannabis. I think there are groups. But for me, if you can imagine going to some of these groups and for me it was about being comfortable as well to actually to tell people, yes, I do use cannabis. That's
Yeah.
one of the things that I definitely wanted to promote, and because it does help me. But for me, every single space that I kind of went into, a lot of people just didn't look like me. A lot of people just didn't understand what I was going through. So what I did was I managed to basically to basically start my own group. You know what I mean? To
Okay.
basically start my own group with a
Take
bunch of
charge.
veterans that yes, absolutely. And so basically with that group, I'm able to show other veterans how to grow. I am a cannabis caregiver. I'm actually growing for people, and when it gets to a point, I'm just going to give them their plants so they can understand and so they can know a little bit about the plant. Besides me just sitting here having all these plants at my house doing this and doing that, I do give these plants out. And for them, it not only just helps me, it also helps them as well.
Good.
Yeah,
Again, sharing is caring
it
to,
is.
kind of summarize that up. But that really
Yeah.
is, a great way to get people going too, because again, it can be intimidating,
Mm,
for some people. And
mhm.
American Cheese says, sometimes groups can be, group setting can be intimidating. So
It is very much so American cheddar. Absolutely.
that's where you can, kind of reach out to some of these individuals. And I know I put
Hmm.
your Instagram. I hope
Hmm.
that's okay. I put your Instagram
Yeah,
down in the show notes.
absolutely. Yeah.
So if there's anybody just kind of like sitting on the fence, or needs a someone to talk to, someone with some
Hmm.
familiarity,
Hmm.
they've got your information.
Definitely,
Um,
absolutely.
Good. You mentioned opioids too, and I'm sorry for skipping around here, but there's
No, that's
so
cool.
many
Perfect.
things I want
Perfect.
to ask.
Yeah.
Was cannabis kind of something that maybe that helped you kind of get off of those, or had you already kind of made that decision and kind of transition before you reached out to cannabis?
Yeah, there's a little bit of both. I was making it up in my mind that I was not going to be on opioids. I had looked up the dangers of opioid use or long-term use.
Long term, yep.
I figured that I was going to be long-term use, and from that moment on, I said, well, if I could get my relief for something else other than opioid, then it would be something that I would be that I definitely would look into. And cannabis was that plant. Cannabis was that one
Good.
that actually did it for me.
Good. Well, good for you. You're absolutely right. Long term, best
Hmm.
decision for your body.
Absolutely.
Um, it's and for the mind too. For the mind.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Good. What kind of profile? And again, you said this too. Everybody's experience is going to be different. We all have the
Hmm.
endocannabinoid system, but those
Yeah.
cannabinoids act differently for us. But for
Absolutely.
you personally, what kind of profiles have you found, or was there any particular strains that maybe helps with like your particular pain, or maybe just like some of the PTSD or depression?
Right.
Because again, not there's not a miracle strain yet. We're looking
Hmm.
for it though.
Hmm. 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 I can tell you right now, the one hitter quitter by Mr. Toad, that was the one, that was the strain that
Good.
it kind of blew my mind. First of all, the stem rubs on it, or the stem rubs on it, smelled like burned plastic, and I'm just like, terpene profile was something different that I had never experienced. Um, you know, I used to spark up, go outside of my house and spark up, and my neighbor would be like, damn, what is that you're smoking? What is, and I had to end up sharing a little bit. And so for me, that one hitter quitter for Mr. Toad, that's been like the number one plant for me. That's one of those plants that I would breed to if I ever got the opportunity or the chance. Because of what that plant did, it calmed my anxiety, my mental space, my pain level. And it was basically true to his name when it came to one hitter quitter. And so I'm not one of those people. I don't cough a lot, and so it kind of made me cough, and I was like, golly. So that's the kind of stuff that I definitely want to grow. The flavor profile for me is a lot. I do love the taste. I'm a taste person. I'm about 60/40 on taste, and sometimes I swap back and forth. When it comes to it, I
Okay.
love a good cannabis that actually tastes good. It's gonna make me want to smoke it. But for me, the effects is what I'm looking for. That's definitely what I'm looking for, because a lot of things can taste good, but a lot of things can be, and absolutely be terrible. You know what I'm saying? And so
Yes, yes, yes. Some things that can give me anxiety. Oh
yes,
man.
yes. There's
Uh,
some strains that does it for me too as well. I wasn't a big Blue Dream person. It took me just a couple opportunities to know what Blue Dream did to me, and so Blue Dream was one of those things. It was a great plant to grow for our very first grow. But it's
yes.
one of those, yeah, and it's a cool plant because it gets so big. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
But
why it's a
I
good one. It
But just
produces.
because it's a big plant doesn't mean that I'm gonna get the best possible medicine out of that plant. You know what I mean? Or short, I've had these one hitter quitter plants were just a small profile, short, stocky profile, but it was for me one of the best medicines that I've ever grown for Mr. Toad. Yes, sir.
And I'm really happy to hear that because
Hmm. Hmm.
in particular, I had a veteran reach out to me. Uh, he had very bad depression. He had
Hmm.
PTSD.
Hmm.
He had some physical ailments, and opioids was
Hmm.
kind of what he was doing.
Hmm.
I'm happy to say, he's doing great. these days.
Great,
The
great.
one hitter quitter absolutely hit the spot for him,
Hmm.
because basically he's like, I just need, knock me out. I need your
Yeah,
heaviest thing. Just knock me
yeah.
out, man. And throughout my entire box of goodies, I'm like, one hitter quitter. Okay, I'm gonna send you this one hitter quitter. Let me know how it goes.
Yes, sir.
So that's, again, good to hear from your perspective as well, because
Hmm.
next time
Hmm.
somebody contacts me, I can be like, well, I've seen multiple success with this. So
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
part of the conversation too, is sharing these successes.
Right.
When it comes to like the VA, I touched on this real quickly
Hmm.
because
Yes.
not having to navigate it myself. I mean, my dad,
Hmm.
we're doing that, but for different reasons right now.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, he's definitely not on the cannabis thing,
Hmm.
unfortunately. But what is that like? Can you be honest now? I
I'm
know 10 years
absolutely going
ago
to
you
be
couldn't.
honest.
Okay,
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm absolutely going to be honest when it comes to the VA. There's not there's from what I've experienced here in San Diego, I can tell you that the VA, they have these rankings when it comes to a system, when it comes to the VA, which one's the best one, which one is the worst one. Here in San Diego, I think we have the best mental health facility that it is.
good.
Um,
Wow.
Yeah, so that helps because San Diego or here in California is a huge military town. We have different bases
Yes.
here, um, three, four, five different bases here, or a little bit more. And so when it comes to operating and navigating the VA, it is not an easy thing to do. For one, whenever you get out, you're kind of wondering when you're going to get paid next. If you're going to get paid, we have to basically put in for our disability after stuff that we've earned. It's
Wow.
always earned. It's never given. Um,
Right. Right.
and it's one of those things when it comes to the VA. It's just it shouldn't be the way that it is, but it's the way that it is because so many people have let our veterans down when it comes to our health care. Um,
Yeah.
I was waiting for another back surgery for about possibly, I think I was waiting for right at a year and a half. So the whole time I'm in pain. I'm going to the emergency room. I'm telling them I'm in pain. Every single MRI was coming back detrimental. And so, during that time, I was just like, it's got to be a different way. It's got to be an easier way. Something has to give when it comes to it. I'm not saying every VA system, every veteran system is the same, but I'm pretty sure we're kind of close to it when it comes to it, especially with all the cuts that just happened. Um, and that's a lot of care that we're not getting that
Graceful.
for those veterans. That I definitely want to see those other veterans get help for, especially if it's mental health, if it's pain management, mental health, and just overall well-being for the rest of our lives. You know what I mean? Because for a certain point in time, we give our whole lives to the system, and when
Yeah.
we give our lives to the system, we go in as early as 17, 18 years old, and we come out as older, but our bodies are like 50 and 60-year-old people when we get out of the military, believe it or not. And so for me, um, yeah, it's one of those things that I'm still continuing to having to navigate. It's one of those things that's not easy to navigate. And for those other veterans that's out there that's going through disability, trying to get your veteran benefit pay, don't give up. Just never give up when it comes to it. Never give up. That's my word of advice. There's people out there that's we still have veterans from NOM that haven't got a
Yeah.
cent from the military, and so we that kind of stuff I definitely I shy away from it, but that kind of stuff I definitely don't want to ever go through or have another veteran go through, because like you said, 22 veterans a day commit suicide, and believe it or not, that number is more now in 2025.
The way things have been going, I
Hmm.
sadly don't doubt it. And you mentioned,
Hmm.
the physical pains and mental health.
Hmm.
Those two are so connected.
Hmm.
Anybody who's had chronic pain knows
Hmm.
how those two things are one and the same. So, in a system where you want to treat one and ignore the other, um,
Hmm.
it's not the right tactics. So
Absolutely.
man, again, I'm a huge proponent for just mental health conversations because
Yes,
that
sir. Yes,
so
sir.
so much of it. And I know a lot of people in chat, you're hopefully shaking your head right now and saying the same thing. I'm seeing a lot of people, a
Mhm.
lot of good people coming up here to support you today too. I've seen
Absolutely.
Chris
Cool.
Guerrero in there, Mr. Toad's hanging out. We got Cheddar
Okay, good.
Bob's up in
Great.
here.
Oh man, Cheddar Bob. Yeah, man. Cheddar
Cheddar
Bob is
Bob.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah. Absolutely. All great people that I've met on this road and on this journey. Again, I've met a lot of great people. And then I've also met some people that I wish that I never met, you know what I'm saying, as well. Um, but what I try to do is I try to just take all the great things that I've learned, all the great everything that I've learned has been great, by the way. Everything that that I've learned, I've actually just tried to apply that here with my growth. And I'm still learning. I'm getting better and better at these plants. I'm not where I want to be right now, but eventually I'll get there. You know what I'm saying? But it's gonna take not only just me, it's gonna take those people like the Chris Guerrero Show, the Mr. Toes, the Cheddar Bobs, the Star Dog. It's gonna take a lot of those people to actually get these, and yourself as well, Mr. Westport. Um, yeah, it's gonna take. I think it's gonna take all of us, to actually, when it comes to legislation, when it comes to
yep.
these laws, when it comes to cannabis, there's a lot of things that can be done, but are you willing to do it for the plant? And that's how I look at a lot of things when it comes to cannabis.
We can't really relax because certain states it's
Hmm.
legal. And
Hmm.
in those states, I'm in Washington. We us
Okay.
in Colorado legalized first.
Hmm.
It completely destroyed our medical system. It's unfortunately not even a
Hmm.
conversation anymore. It's
Oh
it's
wow.
about more just commercialism.
Hmm.
But you're right. There are people like us who need to, for lack of a better word, and to act young here, to keep it
Hmm.
real,
Yeah.
um, because that's really what this thing is about,
Hmm.
and helping each other. I draw strength from others. Again, if the guy next to me in the gym's not quitting, I'm not going to quit either. So
Absolutely.
we
Absolutely.
we we can keep each other there. And I'm seeing some good comments too. Different groups, different
Hmm.
places people can reach out. Uh,
Hmm.
Definitely, guys, keep those coming in here because this is a sharing session. I want anybody
Absolutely.
who stumbles across this or intentionally watch this, hoping to find maybe a resource or a trick or a tip. I want them to be able to find that. So keep that going, guys. I do want to ask you about growing though.
Mhm.
What are doing the organic stuff too.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
what is maybe something that surprised you or you learned in your journey so far that maybe a new grower who's just coming into this, what can you maybe help them avoid, or do you have like a philosophy that would help them look over the plants?
Man, you know what? I had a grower tell me one thing, just leave the plant alone, it'll grow. It's a weed, you know what I'm saying? It's
I just snot
unfortunately.
bubbled, dude. I just snot bubbled. You're right, though. You're
And unfortunately,
right.
that's what I try to keep in my system. So what I do is I set up these biomes of soil, right? And some of these biomes of soil, I can have it amended. I can have it with micro, macro nutrients. I can have those soils just set up by itself, just running with a cover crop on it. And if I see that that soil with that cover crop is growing and is growing like how I want it to, then when I drop some good genetics into that soil, I tell people it's a plug and play system. I grow indoor and outdoor. Most of my outdoor is in my greenhouse, and I tell people growing outside is a totally different animal. It really is. You have to put up with the bugs, so you have to have an
Oh yeah.
IPM schedule. You have to have an IPM schedule. You have to put up with maybe sometimes nosy neighbors. You have to put up with of course animals. For a long time, for about a year, I had a skunk that would come to my garden and basically just rip it up every single night. You know what I'm saying? Uh, Yeah, so
At
it's a
least he
lot of
can
stuff that you
spray your
have to
plants for you. Get those
and,
spray terps.
and that's exactly what he did. He did it to a one-hitter quitter. My one-hitter, I still smoked it, but it was some of the worst shit because of that skunk. And I'm gonna tell you, yeah, it is totally
Does your
different going
backyard still smell
outside.
like skunk?
It is. It is. It is. My dog
J5's
still
asking.
smells like skunk. Absolutely, I know. But I'm gonna tell you right now, growing outdoor for me, or what I would tell those growers that's just starting out, just be a sponge and soak up every single thing that you possibly can. You're gonna learn some stuff. I've learned some stuff that actually um, but kind of have common sense with it too, because some stuff, if you're thinking, well, if I'm a human, I wouldn't like that shit. And I'm a plant, you know what I'm saying?
It's true.
And a lot of stuff I learn, and I'm just like, nah, I'm not doing that. But when it comes to, I believe in soil microbes. I believe in making a lot of teas. Some people
Okay.
aren't tea growers. I make my own teas by stuff that I have in my house, banana peels, um, strawberries, apple cores. Did I say bananas? Bananas as well. But everything that I'm trying to do right now is set up basically through these biomes of soil that we call living soil. And for me, um, it is a little bit harder to grow, but at the same time, the plants tell you everything that you basically need. The plants and what you're doing tells you everything that you need, whether it was a good test or whether it was a bad test. Those plants are going to react every single time.
And that's a huge part about growing. And for me,
Hmm.
that's one of the most meditative parts of growing is
Hmm.
just the
Hmm.
observation.
Right,
Um,
right.
if you want to pay attention, you can see those daily changes. You can tell the leaf that was like this is now like this. Oh, I can look
Hmm.
at the color here. That gives me an insight to the nutrients.
Hmm.
Uh, so that's probably the most meditative part. That's where I lose most of my time. Like I don't lose much time in front of a TV, but I can
Hmm.
stand for 20 minutes in front of the 4x4 and not think anything. So
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's an important part of the process. Now I too have been on like the organic living soil tip. I want it to
Hmm.
be easy for people. I do want to
Hmm.
find something that people can, like you said, plug and play.
Hmm. Hmm.
Shameless plug. I did just come out with the soil. It is organic. It is
I
water
heard,
only.
I see,
It
I
is plug
see,
and
I
play.
see. Yes, I see
I'll,
that. And we are going to get your soul, Mr. Westport, and we are
oh,
going to test it out. We're going to see how good. We're going to see everything. I tell people when it comes to these genetics, I'll work with anybody when it comes to genetics, but I'm one of those people that I don't have to show it, but I'd rather show it because I'm still learning. And I can go back and look at this post. It gives me a timestamp. I know where it is. It's on Instagram, it's on YouTube. It gives me a little bit of a timestamp to be able to go back and look at those genetics and see what I did wrong, what I did right. And so that's what I think living soil for me is able to do up until this present point. Shout out to was it Country Roots. I do a lot of stuff with Country Roots. I actually get a lot of stuff from Builder Soil. I get a lot of stuff from Country Roots. Uh
uh-oh. He dropped out because he's not mentioning Kiss Organics, which is where my soil's through. I cut him off because nobody can say those other words. I'm just joking. He really did just drop out. Um, Hopefully he'll be back here in a second. I imagine he'll be back. Hopefully it's not me that dropped out. And no, I think it was him that dropped out. Guys, let me know if you have any questions for Baby Daddy Grows, because I'm sure he's going to be back here. You have some wonderful resources right now in chat when it comes to genetics, when it comes to some other things. I'm glad to see, again, Guerrero Grows is in here. He's been a huge supporter. Baby Daddy Grows been on the part of the Future Cannabis Project family. DP710, I was going to mention you there. When it comes to, the people in the house right now, they're kind of from that old group, but we did that 22 too many. You're also the biggest worm advocate I can think of. So I know you like that organic stuff. Um, Yeah, hopefully he hops back on here, Mr. Toad. We could get a little bit of a garden tour. Canna Alicia, good to see you. I'm glad you received the beans. They showed up. A lot of awesome people in the chat today. And here he comes back in. All right, we're taking a guess. Chris Guerrero said phone call. Was it phone call or was it text?
I'm sorry, it was a phone call. It was a phone call.
Hey,
Yes, sir.
that's all right. Cool. You're back.
Yes, sir.
The,
I
the
apologize
organic
about that.
soils.
Yeah.
No worries at all. We gosh, yes, Cheddar Bob is down here taking credit. He's like, we turned Chad Westport into an organic grower. But I do think it was Cheddar Bob that predicted by the end of 2023 I would have dreads, and we are in 2025 and still no dreads. So we're you still got a ways to go. Still got a little bit to go.
He's right about a lot of things except that. He's right about a lot of shit except that. Yeah.
And this. He says he'd be
Mhm.
growing cookies next. Yeah, Cheddar Bob, you're right about a lot of things, but you're definitely not right all the time. So
Absolutely not. Yeah.
put that one to the side.
Mhm.
I wanted to ask though with the soil because I'm getting ready to do that, and that's again why I
Mhm.
kind of shamelessly plugged myself there. Is like I'm getting
Mhm.
to ready to amend that batch of
Right.
soil and to
Right.
reuse it, which is a great thing about a living organic soil is you get to reuse it. You don't just toss it out.
Mhm.
Um, are you doing anything as far as like soil testing between runs, or are you using just observation and, like you said, the cover crops to kind of tell you maybe what it needs before you put the next round of cannabis in there?
Yeah, I think for me, the cover crop for me does a lot of stuff. It actually just helps me out, basically keep that soil living. I do have some earthworms in there. I have two different type of earthworms. I have ENC, the North American, the crawler, and I do have another type of worm that's in there that's kind of helping break down my soil whenever I'm not planting. So having a good cover crop that kind of helps me out. But basically, just thinking about the times of year too as well. In the wintertime, is my microbiology is not going to be as well as I want it to because of the temperature outside. But I know with that I can reamend that soil. I can get a soil test. I can send my soil out to get it tested. I understand and I do realize that those are excellent tools to be able to know what that soil is and how it's performing. But the best thing for me is when I put a plant in there and that plant reacts. And when I say that plant reacts, that plant there's not a lot of transplant shock with living soil. I tell people that too as well. I don't see a lot of transplant shock, but again, for my area, and where I'm at, I don't see a lot of transplant shock due to soil.
Okay.
But other growers might see something totally different in their area.
Right. I always forget that a lot of times when I'm talking, the answer should always involve it depends. Because when
Yes.
somebody asks me a question, my brain automatically thinks everybody's growing inside in a 4x4 tent,
Hmm.
which is not the case. But
Hmm.
yeah, I gotta remember that sometimes. Um, Starship Greenbud asks here, so
Yes.
what plants do you use for cover crop? Do you have a favorite, or is there a mix that you like?
Yeah, I actually use no-till solutions cover crop. If you can see it
Okay.
right there. It has
Yeah.
crimson clover, white clover, medium red clover, yellow blossom sweet clover, vetch, lentils in it, cowpeas, buckwheat, forage seeds. It has a lot of different things in there that actually controls nitrogen as well. Any of those peas that's in there, it controls the nitrogen in the soil. And so I also use a lot of rosemary. I use not only
Okay.
rosemary, basil. I put basil down in my beds too as well. Not only is it helps my soil, it also keeps away those bugs that I'm looking at, that I'm continuing to look at. But every single environment is different. The bugs that I have here is going to be different than the bugs Mr. Toad or you may have in your area as well. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that matters when it comes to just having a good cover crop. If I'm looking at my cover crop and my cover crop is just getting destroyed or my vegetables are just getting destroyed because I just don't only grow cannabis, I grow vegetables as well. Um, Yeah, it gives me a good opportunity to kind of see what's going on in that biome or in that system using a
Yeah,
cover
gosh.
crop.
Yeah, that makes me wonder now too, because I do like growing veggies outside.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm just not in a place where I could grow my cannabis outside.
Right.
But like with my vegetables, I'm able to do kind of like soil rotation. Some things are
Hmm.
like heavier nitrogen feeders, whereas other things
Hmm.
are maybe heavy like phosphorus feeders. So I
Hmm.
intentionally don't plant the heavy nitrogen feeders in the same spot year
Yeah.
after year after
Yeah.
year, kind of rotate that through and
Hmm.
kind of try to even out the soil the best that I can without, getting the soil tests or looking into
Hmm.
it,
Hmm.
which they're not that expensive these days. They're reasonable, but it's just takes time, and we're afraid of things that we're not familiar with sometimes. So that
Yes,
that
sir.
holds a lot of people back from things. You're like,
Yes, sir.
hey,
Yes, sir.
it's
Definitely.
working,
Yeah.
it's working.
Yeah.
Uh, and I had a question here, a couple questions.
Hmm.
Andy he says, when you dump out the pots, Chad, or amend every pot, um, it's easier, and I want to get your opinion on this too, because you're doing it outside. For inside,
Hmm.
like with
Hmm.
pots,
Hmm.
I collect a large enough mass of soil and then dump
Hmm.
it out. You could use like the baby pool, you could use like a tarp,
Hmm.
but the ingredients that you have to add in and kind of in the ratios, it's much
Hmm.
easier if you have one large soil mass
You're
versus a
right.
small container. Like you're
Right.
much more likely to get it correct if it's a larger soil mass.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, I mean, what is like your approach, or like even outside, how do you go about that? Because that's
Well,
not anything that I'm doing right now.
I can tell you these huge. I have these huge storage containers that I use. When I first get a soil, I dump it out. I look at the consistency of the soil. I look at the water tension of the soil, the porosity of it, and I basically just amend that soil, dump it out, and put it in some of these huge storage bins. And I take a auger and I'm actually going through the soil, going up and down, making sure that soil is good to go with my amendments, of course. And that's how I usually amend my soil, because not only does that give me a chance to look at the soil, like I said, it gives me a chance to take a look at the porosity, the way the water pools in it, the filtration of it, pretty much everything I can see within that soil, within that first soil run or that first soil look. It gives me an opportunity to really take a look at that soil.
And that's important because you kind of get an idea of, I like the pumice as opposed to
Hmm.
perlite. Perlite kind of
Hmm.
like floats. It's
Me
harder to
too.
manage and kind of keep in the mix.
Hmm.
Um, but you do get a good idea of the distribution of that as
Hmm.
well.
Hmm.
Because
Yes, sir.
again, sometimes when you're dumping out, if you've got like perlite pots and you're dumping them out onto that mat, and you're mixing it up, you're like, where's all the perlite? It's on the bottom because it floated to the top last time.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So
Absolutely.
it's beneficial.
Right.
And one thing we just had to do too is we had to let this latest batch of soil cook or cool because some of the ingredients we use is hot. Do you have to deal with that with any of your teas, or I bet that steer manure you said a couple weeks, but yeah, are you using any of those ingredients where you kind of have to let things cook?
No, I kind of got over that. That was just during my first grow, but I can tell you right now, the stuff that I use is basically a good veg tea and a good flower tea. Because eventually that stuff is going to feed the soil, which it turns feeds the plant. But I'm not really just waiting on any of that, because I'm in a living soil and a good living soil. I know that whatever I put into that soil, the plants are going to be able to uptake it. And so for me, the faster I can get it to the plant, that's why I make a lot of teas. To be honest with you, that's why I make a lot of teas. I usually make about one tea a week, and that kind of helps and supports my plants. But again, in veg, the tea difference or the recipe is totally different in veg than it is in flour or in between. I can tell you that much right now. And a lot of companies and a lot of places actually make these teas to where there's kind of no guesswork, if that makes sense.
No,
And
no, I
so,
like that.
yeah,
I
yeah,
like
and I
that's
enjoy
why
that too as well.
That's why I buy my STS for Mr. Toad, which is why I need to reach out to him again. I want to do another reversal project, so I need to reach out and get some toad venom because sure, I could buy the ingredients for pennies on the dollar, but will I do it
Absolutely.
right? Maybe I
Absolutely.
will, maybe
Yes.
I won't.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
willing to pay for it. It's worth every
Right.
penny. It's
Yeah.
worth every penny to
Yes.
get it right. I always joke, it's like I love companies that spend the millions of dollars to do the R&D, so I could
Mhm.
just grab the bag and use it and it works. Like I'm
Mhm.
not trying to reinvent the wheel on,
Mhm.
a lot of things, but
Mhm.
I want to find that thing that's going to work and work best for the majority of people. So
Mhm.
that's where we're at. Um,
Absolutely.
Now, indoors, are you doing anything indoors at the moment?
I am, Mr. Westport. I actually start off all of my plants indoors, of course, and then we move outdoors. But while they're in here, this is their babying time. This is the time that I'm doing a lot of topping, a lot of low stress training while they're in here as babies. Again, I have these biomes set up. A lot of people say never put more than one plant in a system. Here it is. I have four. I have four
Okay.
plants that's in a system. It looks like they're doing amazing, by the way.
Look great.
Yeah,
They
and
look
so
great.
again, I set up these biomes and I set up these little systems to basically see how the plant responds. Um,
Mhm.
when they're in here, they sometimes they get water, sometimes they don't get water. A lot of times I'm in here and I'm in this environment. If they can grow in my garage with some not so good lights, then
Mhm.
whenever I put them outside after all the testing that I've done, guess what? That's their time to shine when it comes to the outside.
Yep, absolutely. I'm glad you just showed that. It's funny because I'm completely breaking the rules too. I just want to do just a little seed run for myself, so I have
Absolutely.
some things to work with. So I
Okay.
got like six different plants in a 7-gallon container in there, and I've got the male. Here's the male. This is the male. This male's just gonna drop all over him
Oh
soon.
wow.
This is
Okay.
this is from Mean Gene.
Okay. Yeah.
Smell too.
Absolutely. That's why it looks like that. Okay. That's a huge male. Yeah.
Yeah, Mean Gene. That's his black lime number two, or no, it's just the
Mm,
lime. Yeah, black lime number two crossed with
okay.
his cherry limeade F5.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm,
the daughters itself, or the sisters, they're a little bit taller than I like. They flower a little bit longer than I like, but
mhm.
they're fabulous.
Right.
So I've got, like I've got my no joke keeper in there. I've got my Westport grape juice keeper. I've got my Kool-Aid man keeper and some blueberry muffins and another one from a friend. I'm just
Okay.
going to hit them. I'll probably get maybe a couple hundred seeds from each, but that's
Yeah.
something for me to play with to go through
That's
because then I
good.
want to keep working it,
Mhm,
but it's got to be shorter and it's got to be a shorter
mhm,
flowering time.
mhm.
So that's my
Absolutely.
work.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got I've got a whole bunch of little single stock plants in a 7-gallon in there. So thank you for showing that. I
Absolutely.
don't feel alone.
Yeah. Yeah. Anytime. Anytime. Yes, sir. Anytime.
We're gonna let that pollen fly soon. And you mentioned your kind of work too, or your desire to do some work with things, and
Mhm.
you've already expressed one hitter quitter is a great
Right.
strain for you.
Mhm.
How are you kind of like maybe lining up those pieces in your head, and when do you think you may get started on some sort of project?
This year, I think we'll get started this year. I think what I did was I set up these systems right now because I already know one group. I did two different groups of plants this year. One totally outdoors, and then one in my greenhouse. And so, what I'm really trying to dial in there is my own medicinal medicine that I'm going to use, and that's why I set it up that way. And then my other plants that's outside, I really want to see how they grow in my clay soil, if that makes
Oh
sense.
wow. Well, clay soil's a different beast. For anybody not familiar, A, the drainage sucks, and B,
Yes,
the cation exchange, which basically
absolutely.
can like grab nutrients and make them unavailable to the plant.
Right.
It's off the
Mhm.
chart. Like clay
It
is the
is.
last thing you want to see. So
It is. It is. It is. And I have six plants that's actually doing really well. I actually started working on a soil probably 4 to 5 months, which I'm telling you right now, 4 to 5 months is not as long as I would want it to be. I try to start at 6 months dropping a cover crop, amending the soil. I'm trying to do no-till soil as well
Okay.
with my native soil that's here in my yard or in my environment. And so for me, that clay soil actually is teaching me, hey, look, you don't have to water as much with clay soil. You do have to basically get it saturated. Um, but again, for me, I really want to see how those cannabis plants do in my native soil. And so once I figure that out, that's gonna stop me from buying soil. It's gonna
Yeah.
be able to actually to re populate a great soil for my environment. But that's the stuff that I'm definitely trying to learn right now as well.
Nice. And I
Mhm.
see another past guest and friend of the show, Bonsai Garden Guy. What's up, buddy? It's
Okay,
good to see
Buzz.
you in
Yeah,
here.
absolutely.
Another really, really cool dude doing some fun things. And he's asking about, and I
Mhm.
put this question up because I just was speaking with my friend in the Netherlands about
Mhm.
this. He asks if you're doing lasagna tech with the
I
native
do.
soil. I don't
I
know.
do.
Okay, so if
I
you've
do.
heard of lasagna tech, maybe can you explain what that kind of is for people, or maybe your approach to it?
My approach to it basically is just having those organic layers on top of the soil and basically using it as you would say layers in the soil. For me, my very top ryosphere or rhizome is alpha haze. So that's what I put down on first, and then what I'm doing is I'm stacking like wood chips or green stuff that comes out of my yard. I'm putting that stuff in there as a second layer. It may be a little bit of I may put some um so another layer of alfalfa hay. Then I might put my amendments on top of that. But just basically getting that soil where I need it to get. But that alfalfa hay allows the soil to be moist. Almost, I'm using it as a mulch. And so
Okay.
as that mulch, as it continues to break down, it's gonna draw those nutrients into the soil. And so, like I said, for me, that's what I'm kind of testing right now when it comes to my native soil, and the plants are doing great. They've been outside now for about a week and a half, and they're doing great, looking great, and hopefully they'll continue to do that all the way up until flowering.
I hope so too.
Mhm.
How did the process of putting them out go? Was this because people sometimes talk about hardening off or bringing things in and out. Not everybody does it, but how do you
Right.
kind of approach maybe? Because it
What?
sounds like actually you've started the plant, so they do have a root system at least, so
Mhm.
they could probably take a
Absolutely.
little impact. But yeah, how do you approach moving things from indoors to outdoors, and when do you really kind of decide that, like, okay, get out of here,
Um,
get a job?
I kind of modify the solo cup technique. I use these quarter cups or quart cups.
Okay,
um Starting out, this is what they, as soon as they pop, they actually go into here with the living soil, of course. And so
okay,
as they continue to grow, and I'm definitely want to build bigger roots for the plants. And I think plastic does a little bit better job of that when it comes to fabric pots. Your fabric pots are basically structure for the roots, or I think it's structure for the roots. But when it comes to using these plastic pots, our plants kind of they get root bound, or they get,
they'll start to
they
spiral and
start to
spin. Yeah,
spiral, and they but for me, when they're in that cup, they should be building great roots, because if I have great roots, everything that I'm giving that plant within that system is able to consume if we have great roots. And that's just a start of it.
yeah.
That's just a start of it. I love a great root system. When they come out of these plants, the root system is very built up. I enjoy looking at it, and I use mycorrhiza. Um, and so using that mycorrhiza also helps out when it comes to transplant shock. I didn't get any kind of transplant shock when I basically planted my hill, which is all red clay, and it's just all red clay, of course. And so those plants are actually, like I said, they're doing okay, but we'll see as time continues to go on how we continue to progress with the soil as well.
Yeah. I wish these plants were a little bit faster growing because I do love experimenting like that. I do love seeing, well, you sit back, you're like, all right, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Um, but you do also have to have those ones that you baby because you rely on it as a medicine, so you're taking great care of it.
Absolutely.
But I do like that sense of experiment, which again
Mhm.
is why I wish these plants would grow faster so I could do more of it. But that's another
Right.
benefit of just this community and talking with people and getting out there, because I can learn from you, you can learn from me. Both of us, we could accomplish 2 runs in the time it takes to do one. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
multiply that, multiply it, and boom, we can all learn a lot from each other.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of the open conversation I hope more people have is it's okay to ask questions, it's okay to
Mhm.
be curious. Do your do your little bit of research, don't just ask. Well, I mean, there is no such thing as a dumb question, but
Right.
sometimes there are answers that are very, very easy to find in front of
Mhm.
you. So
Mhm. Mhm.
don't be reliant on AI for your grow.
Right.
Like you're saying, get out there, do it, find out what if,
Mhm.
what
Mhm.
happens,
Yeah.
and then share that information. And we may learn something that, oh, if we just did that one thing, or oh, if I would have just hearted them off,
Mhm.
like you said, I could have had a better chance of success. So
Right.
that's what a lot of the information is about sharing. And I realize we're over an hour already, but I still want to kind of keep it like an open forum as far as
Mhm.
just sharing some information uh, about because outdoor is really where I'm curious. Indoor,
Mhm.
I do a lot of things.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
but outdoor, how do you know when it's time? Well, okay, so this is I'm going to ask the same question but mean two completely different things. The question is, how do you know when it's time to put out, which you just kind of answered by roots, root size and strength. But how do you know when it's time to put it out based on like light hours or calendar? And everybody, this is going to
Absolutely.
vary by zone where you
Right.
live. But
Right.
what do you do? How do you know when it's time?
I really get my plants to a certain size. I grow my plants to a certain size. When they leave this, they go in 2 gallon to 5 gallon pots, fabric pots. And so I actually get them to a certain size that I can manage. Again, I have some kind of disabilities with my back. So I want to be able to get in between. I want to be able to water. I want to be able to get in between my plants. And so growing them to a certain size, which is the size that I prefer. I prefer my plants to be a little bit small on the small side before I flower them. And
Okay.
so being in a plug and play system, again, my greenhouse is the system. Once they leave here, I know that they're gonna flower in my greenhouse because of the time frame that I'm putting them out. And
Okay.
so yeah, and so I'm actually counting that as day one of flower as soon as they get into the greenhouse.
And the
Yeah.
Dixie Doodles. I'm not sure where Dixie Doodles is, but I would imagine somewhere around Tennessee, the home of
I
Dixie.
use I use
It's
March
just
Matters. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
that's awesome. See,
Yeah.
I learned
Yeah.
something new. March Madness
Absolutely.
is over. Time to go out in the yard. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Miles is saying Mother's Day, which is coming up next week. I believe
Mhm.
it's on the 11th because the UK Mother's Day was last weekend, and I thought I
Right.
missed it here. And I'm like, fuck. You
Mhm.
guys already
Mhm.
saw me just send my mom to voicemail during the show. And
Okay.
I just sent my wife to voicemail during the show too. So someone may wonder where my priorities are in life. I don't know. I
Mhm.
love them both, guys. Don't get
Mhm.
me wrong.
I know it.
Okay.
I know it.
Back to the questions. Minnesota Magic Man has got a question. He says, "Does every autoflower or regular plant, I'm assuming, yellow up at the end of its life cycle?"
Good question. Good
Very good
question.
question. Yeah.
Yeah. When it I'm not big on autos. To all those people that's growing autos, good on you. I understand, but I'm not an auto grower. For me, I call it the fade for my plants. A lot of times the fade doesn't happen, and sometimes it happens in the living soil. But most of the time, when it comes to it, at a certain point, getting those nutrients out of the system or out of the bud, should I say, is very crucial, very important to do. But I tell people, even in this system, you don't need what they call a washout, or what is it called?
Oh, Flushing, right?
Flushing,
Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. Because you're in a living soil and an all organic system, there's no flushing.
Yep. That is
Yeah.
a great point because
Hmm.
again, and you know the thoughts around this are changing because there's some studies, but there is still no definitive answer, in my
Hmm.
opinion, um, as far as flushing goes. But when it comes to the organic soil, yeah, like you said, a lot of the magic of organic soil is the activity inside of it, the nutrients that are inside of it. Unlike synthetic nutrients, they won't cause, sodium buildup or
Hmm.
pockets of hotness in the
Hmm.
soil, which is potentially one reason why people would flush with synthetics. But
Hmm.
yeah, like with the living soil, like you said, flushing would actually be getting rid of all of the things that you've just built, that you've
They're in the
worked
system.
to build
Right.
that microbial community, build up those available nutrients, or the carbon and the green to become available after the microbes get through with it. There's really two schools. There's the agronomy, which says you have to have the nutrition. Then there's the microbial. Oh, he probably got another phone call. I'll hurry back. But yeah, the agronomists are like, you got to have nutrition in there. The biology people are like, you got to have the microbes. Come on, guys. The truth is actually right here. They work both. They work well together. You can't. You could probably get further with just agronomy than you could with just biology, but really the two work together. So when it comes to flushing living soils, it's not a common practice. It's kind of frowned upon because, again, you're washing away what you've just spent time building and developing. So awesome, you're back. I just kind of wrapped that one up for
Okay.
the flushing stuff. And
Hmm.
Bonsai Garden Guy, one more time, just to kind of follow in with the lasagna tech. I think he's understanding this right because you mentioned, wood chips, which would kind of be the brown, which would be like your carbon. You
Hmm.
mentioned the lawn clippings, which is the
Hmm.
green, which is the
Hmm.
nitrogen. Just kind of he says you're building layers with those two, and it's premised upon the decay of those. And again, the biology is going to take those minerals, convert that into plant available nutrients. So again, you got the agronomy and the biology there. But I
Hmm.
think I think that
Absolutely.
was kind of what you were saying there with the
Absolutely. Yes,
lasagna
sir.
tech.
Yes,
Oh,
sir. Hmm.
cool. Get that done. And I do want to give other people chances too. If you guys have questions for Baby Daddy Grows, please
Hmm.
definitely put them in the chat. We're definitely
Absolutely.
talking about growing, definitely questions about navigating as a veteran
Hmm.
within the system,
Hmm.
support groups, things that you've done for yourself.
Hmm.
Uh, Guys, ask because we're both here because that's important to both of us.
Absolutely.
And again, thank you so much for reaching out to me and being like, "Hey, buddy." I'm like, "Dude, what's up? Let's talk. Let's jam." So
Yeah.
we got the
Yeah.
band
Yeah.
back together. Everybody's in
Of
chat
course.
too, so
Yeah.
the band's
Cool.
back together, buddy. Thanks for doing that.
Cool. Cool. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for doing it. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, my pleasure. So, I mean, I guess if we're gonna wrap that up soon, I do want to ask, again, what, gosh, for the veteran out there who is struggling with their mental health,
Hmm.
who has maybe tried what they know.
Hmm.
I've gone to this counselor. I've tried that
Hmm.
prescription.
Hmm.
Um, is there any advice you could offer them, or in any resource, and anything that you would want to say to maybe that person who hopefully is listening here today and being part of our community? Because we
Right.
got open arms for everybody.
Hmm. I can tell you right now, what I've learned is being able to reach out, being able to reach out is part of the issue, because I'm gonna tell you right now, we're all men, right? And so or to those lady growers that's out there is too as well, but we have this thing as toxic masculinity. We feel like we don't want to ask for help. We feel like we're doing it all on our own. We're trying to be Iron Men while we're in the military, and then we're trying to be Iron Men when we're out of the military. And so all of that stuff has a direct effect on how we act, how we react, how our bodies react. There's times that I go places, there's a certain type of smell from being in the desert and being overseas, that kind of sets me off. You know what I'm saying? I'm just, what's that smell? I've felt it before. And so I'm actually getting on my guard. But there's also times that I feel at ease after using cannabis. And there's also times that I feel like we can feel like we're by ourselves. And I never want people to feel like we're by ourselves. What I would tell those people is to reach out. There is help available. There's multiple streams. You can go to va.gov. And a lot of times it takes a long time, but for the most part, never to give up. That's what I always preach. Never to give up at all.
Well, thank you for living that advice.
Mhm.
Thank you for living that example. Again, we can draw strength through others who
Mhm.
have walked a mile in our boots.
Mhm.
So very important. Thank you for that
Mhm.
message. And
Absolutely.
for people listening, spread the word, man. Talk
Mhm.
about it. There's a lot of people, and DP who's in chat.
Mhm.
He's someone who always preaches. Check in on people.
Mhm.
Just say
Perfect.
hello. You
Perfect.
don't know how far that goes sometimes with
Mhm.
certain
Mhm.
people.
Mhm.
So just check in, man. Just check in with somebody
Absolutely.
if if you haven't heard from them, if you
Mhm.
haven't seen them in a while.
Mhm.
Say what's up, man, and
Right.
hopefully they get
Right.
back to you. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But
Mhm.
like Baby Dad said here, don't give up, and don't give up
Exactly.
on those people. So
Mhm.
two-way street here.
Mhm.
I do like kind of what about Bob here says. He said adopting a dog was the best thing for my mental health. Uh,
Exactly.
Dude, me personally, I've had nothing but rescue dogs since my first rescue dog. That rescue dog saved my fucking
Yeah.
life. Like,
Yeah. And it will. It definitely will too.
yeah,
Mhm.
I can't express that one enough. And not everybody's in a situation where they may be able to have a pet or an animal. But if you are, dude, the most
Yeah.
selfish love you'll experience in
Absolutely.
life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Another awesome joke. The more people I get to know, the more I like my dog.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
truth right there. Woo. Okay,
Absolutely.
rewind that one. So thank you for putting that
Mhm.
up there, guys.
Mhm.
I also want to, um, if you could think of any resources, you mentioned va.gov,
Mhm.
absolutely. After the fact, if there's anything that I can put in the show notes, please let me know.
Okay.
I will do
Absolutely.
that. I know there are a lot of good resources out there too, with just like a quick Google search. Always there's a place to start. Um, something that came up the other day for me too, and I just want to put this up here, guys. I apologize because I have not had a chance to vet this. I've not had a chance to look into this, which is
Mm.
something I'm a huge proponent of. Unfortunately, there are some crappy people in this world, and they're a very, very, very small percentage of the people in this world. But this is one of the issues where you can find some crappy people.
Mhm.
I'm not
Mhm.
saying that at all about this person because
Mhm.
I don't know. Again, I haven't had a chance to vet it, but I did want to bring this up. I did want to
Okay.
mention it as the person who reached out to me um, within the last few days and said, "Hey, I'm running a give and grow away for through the Wounded Warrior Project,
Great.
and they're just kind of raising some money. Pepper Picante is the official name of it, but they're just basically trying to raise some funds for the Wounded Warrior Project,
Perfect.
which is one of many, um, I guess, groups I don't want
Mhm.
to say charities, but groups for lack of a better term out there that does help, that is
Mhm.
specifically helping people. So this is out there, that the Wounded Warrior Project, and again, this is a goal. They're trying to raise $1,500. Pepper Picante is who's in charge of this. Again,
Okay.
I myself have not had the chance to vet this, but Wounded Warrior Project is, I am familiar with them. So
Right. Right.
even if, whoa, where'd we go? Okay, so even if that one isn't for you, I did want to raise awareness for that, but also there are plenty of opportunities to act and help. Again,
Mhm.
Wounded Warrior Project is just one of many. DAV,
Mhm. .gov. Mhm.
yes, was another one. So do that. Cannabis community, again, we're all pretty. I've found a lot of support for veterans in this community. People who want to help. People who are like, dude, try this genetic here, try that. Ask me a question anytime. So like Baby Dad said, just speak up, ask. People are usually pretty good or resourceful and willing to help you.
Mhm.
And let's see here, Chronic Chatter, who I know, I've been on his show. Big ups. It says Chronic Chatter will also be involved with PEP. Okay, so there's
Okay.
kind of another person from within the community that's saying like, hey, I'm getting involved with that one. So that will be cool. I'll look forward to his show.
Mhm.
And I can hopefully learn some more about it. Again, I hit this person back today. I'm like, I wish, I wish I had more time. Sometimes some of these things, it's hard to do the diligence we want to do
Mhm.
and make the arrangements we want when we get just a couple weeks notice for something. So
Absolutely.
yeah. And this person said they're going to do another one for 710. So hopefully I'll
Okay, that's cool. That's cool for sure. For sure.
yeah, yeah, that's a good one. Well, shoot, I always like to turn the floor over to my guests. I
Mhm.
want to turn the floor over to you
Mhm.
to just maybe any questions I didn't ask you
Mhm.
or anything that you feel important that you just want to put
Yeah.
out there. I realize I'm putting you on the spot. Sometimes the answer
Mhm.
is like, I'm cool, but I want to turn the floor over to you for any last words.
Just thank you so much for having me on. A lot of people don't give my perspective sometimes, but I think that you usually do. So again, thank you for having me on. I enjoyed this time. I love to do shows. I love to do interviews. Reach out to me. I'm on Instagram. You can find me on Instagram. I'm also on. I just literally started my YouTube. Again, with Instagram and YouTube, I try to show recipes, stuff that I'm doing. I show my plants. I show my grow. Um, I do answer questions. I do lives, and something that I'm also going to do soon as I get enough subscribers.
Mhm.
Um, I'm going to be doing these strain reviews. There's about
Okay.
7 to 10 possibly places that I would like to get cannabis from, dispensaries that's here. But I try to do these strain reviews and tell you, you know, again, but I'm just one person, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's endocannabinoid system is different. I try to give the best that I possibly could, these best reviews. Um, and they are important because other veterans that's watching this or other veterans want to
Yeah.
know or how to know to consume. And so, but yeah, just find me on Instagram, find me on YouTube, and I'll answer any questions. If you want me on your show, you need me on your show, just let me know. I'll come through and hopefully do as well as I possibly can.
Heck yeah, guys. Take
Yeah.
advantage of that opportunity and bring this man on, because not only are you going to have a good show, but
Mhm.
you're going to meet a really cool person who I suspect you'll enjoy for a long, long time. I hope I continue to do that, man. I am so glad again that we've reconnected here, because you're an inspiration. You
Thank
really
you.
are.
Thank you. I
Um,
appreciate it.
and I told you this before we got started. Like, I'm having a rough day. You bring a
Mhm.
smile to my face.
Thank you.
We need that. We're, again, community, man. Community. We help each
Absolutely.
other. We don't always have to be strong. but we can be strong when the others need it. So
Mhm.
here is your Instagram. So for
That's my
everybody
Instagram. Yeah.
looking for it, this is the Instagram. That's what you're going to see when you pop up here. So make sure you get the right one. And I just it looks like a bag of Tips Cascade chips,
Yeah.
potato chips. It's on my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and I see some of the Boneyard, some
Mhm.
DDA, some Mr. Toad work here.
Absolutely, you do.
Awesome.
You
That's a
do.
good selection.
And I'm gonna also tell people right now. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Westport. If you guys are looking to grow or start to grow, find some great genetics, find some great people that you want to work with. There's a line from Mr. Toad called the Ghost line. Ghost of Boneyard. Some of the plants in that system is a Ghost of
Yeah.
Boneyard, Ghost of Kim4, Ghost of Pure Kush, Ghost of Headband, Ghost of Totally Haze, Ghost of GG4. There's a lot. There's a lot of shit within that Ghost line. Hopefully, I'll be able to find what I'm looking for within that. I know I will, but it just takes a little bit of time. But yeah, if you're looking to start your growth, just look out for it. And then just your line too as well, Mr. Westport. We are going to get our hands on some grape juice. So West
Yes.
Coast, yes, we are. We really are. We want to see what it does and how it does. For real, for real.
I am happy. We'll talk
Yeah,
after the fact. But yeah, dude,
absolutely.
the vault is open.
Okay, for
So
sure, for
the
sure.
vault is open. Let me know,
Ooh,
and I will get that out to you guys.
yeah.
What was your YouTube? Because I was trying to find it real quick. What is the name on that?
It's
Is it
BabyDad Grows 1657.
1657? All right, because I want to type that in here. Boom. Okay, so I think I've
Okay,
got this
got
pulled up. Let's see
okay.
here. Let me hit the right button, and I can add this to the show notes as well.
Okay.
I
Thank you.
didn't know that, but we've got it up here.
Mhm.
And subscribe. Yay!
Okay,
All
thank you so much.
right.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. No, my dude, thank you for doing this. And I really like the premise of, obviously sharing the knowledge with your
Mhm,
organic experience, your gardening experience,
mhm,
but sharing the strain reviews because that's
mhm,
going to be helpful. Again, it's
for sure.
for somebody with no frame of reference.
Mhm,
Having information like that is invaluable. So, dude, again, hats off to you, sir. Thank you for
mhm.
what you do and what you have
Thank you.
done. I want to continue to see you succeed. So anything I can do to help, please let me know. I'm here for
Thank
your
you.
brother.
You already have. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And thank everybody in
Everybody,
the chat too.
yeah,
Everybody in the chat that offered up questions, concerns, everybody that's in the chat too. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We appreciate it.
yep, absolutely do. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being part of our day. Be a part of somebody else's day. Reach out
Mhm.
to somebody you haven't heard from today. Just do it. Just do it. So, yes, as Chronic Chatter says, stay blessed, guys. Everybody, thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. Party on.
1, 2, Westport!